because you need water to work the cement, and you need water to cure the cement, isn't it?
Yes.
You need aggregates, fine and coarse. You need formwork, yes, and you need cement. Because if you don't have cement, well, you could argue and say that you have concrete, because I know that there are new non-cement types of concrete, but they are not readily available in Nigeria. So I would have thought that in place of the damp-proof membrane, you would have mentioned cement. So, but it's that's you have tried in your presentation. But I also want to ask you, when you are doing um, roofing, you have not done much roofing, but what aspects or what types, two different types of carpentry work are there available? What are they called?
Roofing. Generally, or
Carpentry generally. There are two types of carpentry that I use.
well, I am not sure of their technical names, but and this information was gotten from an artisan. I think they are both furniture carpenters and building carpenters. Or
You are
furniture
right, you
carpentry
do not
and
use
building carpentry.
the right names, yes. There's rough carpentry and there's fish carpentry.
Which is also called joinery.
Or joinery. And what? So go and find out the correct terms. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, but at least you know that there are two different types. And the last question I have for you, if you have an opportunity to do your industrial training again, what will you do differently?
Well, if I have an opportunity to do my industrial training, I would put my mind towards multitasking. The reason I said that was because I didn't realize I was going to be learning so much, which is a good thing by the way, but then I was attempting to focus on just a part at a time, and I think I got it. So I'll be more open-minded towards multitasking and gaining a lot of knowledge at once.
Okay, that's very good. It's a very important life lesson you have learned. Architecture, I'm sure you've seen us today. You saw that today you can see me and consult. Yes, at the same time I was part of a webinar. At the same time, I'm working on production with books. At the same time, I'm doing my director things. Do you understand? And then I'm also being a mother because my food is lost in transit somewhere and it's perishable. So, and that is life. It's not unique to me. If you ask her, you ask anybody here as a worker, you have to be able to embrace multiple things. And that is even part of the architectural training. You will notice that your 300 level, all your courses came at the same time. Nobody said because you are doing structures, they're not going to change, they will change the deadlines. No, it's true to life. Architecture is a profession of many parts, and the many parts make up the whole. And there's a time for everything. If you miss the timing for one thing, you will have a problem on your hands. You will not be able to get through to the next level. But the wonderful thing about it is that practice makes perfect. If you keep practicing, you've learned something. You don't set aside what you've learned, but you use what you've learned to progress on to the next level. The sky will just be a stepping stone. And I like that you said you'll be open to learn new things. You have to be. Let me say something to you. For being an IT student that came here, you are not the first IT student. And unfortunately or fortunately for you, it's the same set of people that have been seen as IT students. So there's already an expectation on you. So the conclusion will not be that we are slacking in our IT presentation, but rather that you are not maximizing the experience. You still have about a week to go. I would say a week to go because even though technically your IT is ending today, until you meet the PGP stamp of approval, your books are not going to be signed by anyone. You understand? That it is your books will not be signed, and your report, you have a standard report to get. The least, even the worst students from PGP, they don't get less than B in their IT because of the rigors. But it's it's never too late. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So we are not flogging you now, but we are rather motivating you that you use the little time that you have left to do much with it. Thank you very much.
I have a question for him. Sorry.
Yes.
You said something about sustainability. You said you learned a lot also besides the social skills on sustainability. Now, sustainability has three cardinal objectives, which is the environmental, it has the social or the cultural, and it has the economic. How have you seen that applied on site that has informed your learning? How were these three cardinal points, sustainability, that means environmental factor, we have the economic factor, which talks about the cost, and then we have the social factor, which talks about the culture. Okay, how did they come to interplay? Were they properly utilized? How did they enhance your learning while on site here?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. First of all, I would speak about cost sustainability. Just an example was when we were doing the lintel for the 3-bedroom residential site I stated. Both a triangle section beam, lintel beam, and a square section beam were considered. And the obvious choice was, since there wasn't so much load on the lintels, it would be better to take the cost-friendly choice of the triangle section, reducing the economic load on the client. And that's just one of many places I saw economic sustainability being considered. Secondly, social sustainability. There are two examples that come to mind. First of all, still the 3-bedroom. I heard it being considered in many site meetings that the client was an elderly person, the private client of course, and subsequently the people he lives with will have to move out. So it was said that the design should be made in such a manner that the house would be sort of cozy even when only him and his wife are living in it in their old age. It won't be bogus and lonely in that sense. So that was considered socially. And also the Providence Hall at Great Blessing School, placements of the toilets were placed in the halls meant to be used as classes with curtain walls. The toilets were placed openly for the students, and it was explained by my supervisor that the toilets were placed that way in order to prevent any dodgy activities by either the students or anybody. So it was open. That social sustainability, social culture being considered. And then lastly, environmentally, of course, in many ways, from landscaping, so many trees being planted in and around the school site, and then even the hard landscape that was being done, just beside it there were trees planted to complement the hard landscape. And so to some extent I've seen on site how we have tried to impute environmental considerations into both designs and construction. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
In the absence of no further question, we would like to ask the second person to come up for your presentation, David Yilpoji. Sorry, Yilse Yilpoji. Thank you. David, you might take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, time starts now.
Good afternoon. My name is Yilpoji Yilse Mark, and I'm here to talk about summary of my report during my IC. Initially, at the start of my IC, I initially applied for SUBEB, that's the State Universal Basic Education Board. But due to no ongoing project at SUBEB, I decided to change my IT location to PGPE, that's Paloma, Pedrez Enterprise Limited, Trifi. PGPE is a subsidiary of Great Blessings Christian Organization. We deal with architectural design, facility management, and construction. During my IT at PGPE, the first week, I was privileged to witness the casting of an upper floor at the academy building. I saw that was my first week of seeing an actual project going on, because I used to see more of the designs on paper, but then seeing that kind of the magnitude of that kind of work going on, I learned about the kind of reinforcement to use in beams, reinforcement to use in lintel in beams, reinforcement on the matting, the returns on the top matting, and then some components that make up the reinforcement on the first and plus slab. During the course of the IT, I was privileged to witness the setting out of a site at Bukuru. We went to the site. I saw physically the way they set out the structure. We partook in the setting out, and I learned about the kind of foundation to use in different kind of environment. The site where we set out was a slopy ground. I learned about the step foundation that we did there, and then the way to achieve step foundation during setting out. And then I learned how to set out using the builder square method. During the course of my IT, I was privileged to witness an ongoing project at GBC, that's the laying of the interlocks at the area. I saw the way interlocks are laid. I learned about the kind of interlocks to be laid at different places, and then the method at which the interlocks are laid. And during the course of my IT, I was able to learn about procurement, how to procure in an organization setting. I learned about in an organizational setting there are rules and regulations, and there is a process that you have to follow for procurement of materials and so on and so forth. And then during the course of the IT, I learned about computer-aided design and visualization. The director of PGPE arranged a class for the IT students, which we are taught about computer-aided design and visualization. We are taught about Revit, Lumion, and other applications of design, which really help us in the way we see architecture, we visualize, and it improves and the way we see architecture in a different format. And then one of the key things I learned in my IT was budget management without compromising quality. At the site we worked on in Bukuru, the client was not that handy. He doesn't have a lot of money, so there's this. I learned about how to manage funds in construction without compromising the quality of the work or project. Then during the course of the IT, I was able to learn about some skills which will really help me in my life, because I learned about some specific skills which I don't think I have those. I ever think about.
The time is up.
Okay.
Director Mo, Mr. Dora, we are open for questions. Maybe after the director has two, one or two questions we might ask.
No, let him go ahead and ask.
Okay. Do you have any problem based on his presentation or based on what's carried out so far?
Okay. You're welcome. So I just want to ask on the procurement that that was made. Is there any is there any documentation? Can you just tell us how it's being documented?
Okay. Okay. The procurement, you have to follow some laid down rules and regulations. You have to write to to the cashier, then forward to the financial secretary where they stamp, and then there are some rules and regulations that you have to follow.
No, I'm talking about the area. You now, I mean, when after you have you going to the market, getting those things, how do you, how do we get the evidence of those things are in place?
Okay. I have to document my receipts and then give a report about what I procure.
Okay. How do we know the time of delivery of those building materials?
Okay.
Do you document it? Do you document it that way?
Okay. So the documentation and record keeping on site. Okay.
Yes.
That's one of the most important things I also learned too. Record keeping is very important in having good records. If you have good records, you can go back to the record and then check if there is anything that comes on any
So speaking about procurement, you and I had a very interesting experience about procurement, you recall. Now, if you were to be the coordinator of IT, what is one of the things you require students to know before they come and do IT as a way of preparing them for IT? What would you tell?
one of the things that they are going to, you should get accustomed to the rules and regulations of the place, and their level of dedication to their work there should be high. So they should know about the organization, know the rules and regulations, and then focus their mind on what they want to achieve during their IT or what they want to learn.
All right. You are exposed to wet construction. You didn't have an opportunity to see much of dry construction. Even though we do it here, what do you understand by wet construction and dry construction?
Okay. My understanding of wet construction, I think my understanding of wet construction, I think this construction that takes place with use of water and aggregate. Then maybe dry construction, maybe project that go on without using of cement, aggregate. And then maybe examples of dry construction, my understanding maybe um, carpentry works, or maybe buildings using wood, steel, or iron. Using switch, concrete, and cement with water.
Now, can you give examples of buildings that use
Shops.
Okay, you mentioned something about the casting, which much of your description lies within that area. Tell us about one problem.
Please, before you go to that, I wanted to tell you something that you can do dry construction with concrete.
Yes.
Yes. You are only describing wet construction from the standpoint of whether the concrete is in situ or offsite or precast. Consider dry construction. So it was also a trick question to see what you know. I don't know if IT they will ask you questions like that. I'm not sure that I'll be invited. And even if I'm invited, I have been invited before. So many times they invite me to come and ask questions or attend those programs. So you have to think through your answers. When you think through your answers, you thought to a measure and you answered to the best of your ability. But it's wet does not. You can even have wet construction that does not use concrete. Can you think of an instance where that is?
Um,
Okay. So I'll ask you. I'll give you that as an assignment to think of one. But there are. It is not only. It's not only concrete that is wet construction. Okay. Go and do a little research. You can now please continue.
Okay, so name one problem that occurred on site that you were a solution, you were part of the solution of resolving that challenge or problem on site, either at the Express or at the GBC site.
I'll name one that happens at GPC and then one at the school side. During the laying of the interlocks, the pump that passed through was faulty.
Pump?
No, the pipes that passed through the interlock area was faulty. And I assisted in the fixing of the pipes. And then during the curing,
when you say it was faulty, what was the fault?
Okay,
be specific.
Okay, the pipes is actually broken.
What broke the pipe?
I think it's just maybe because of the movement around during the laying of the interlocks. That's what broke the pipe. And then during the curing,
So how did you fix it? Be detailed. How did you fix it?
Okay.
Was it during excavation or loading of the interlocks that broke the pipe? Be specific. This is a technical report you're presenting.
Okay.
How did the pipe develop the problem? How did the problem occur? And what was the solution? And how was it fixed? So be detailed, brief but detailed.
I think I'm not the only one involved in the fixing. But then the way the pipes were fitted, new connectors of pipes were bought and then they are fixed there for the work to continue. For the laying of interlock continues. Then there was an incident that I was actually a solution to during the curing of the suspended upper floor. The hose pipe that we connect to cure the slab was the hose pipe was leaking, so we have to look for rubber to tie it and then fix the pipes so that we can continue our curing.
Okay. So in the absence of any further questions, thank you, Eugene. You may exit the stage. Call on the next presenter.
Good morning, all. My name is David Tisma, and I'm here to talk about my IT journey and my experience during my IT. Okay, my IT started at SUBEB, State Universal Basic Education Board.
Look into the camera.
Okay, during my IT, My IT started at SUBEB, State Universal Basic Universal Board at Dogondusi in Jos for about 2 months. In the place where I applied for my IT, there was no ongoing side project that was going on in the organization, so we were advised to find another site so that we can be able to gain site experience during our IT experience. On the 5th of April, I applied an internship in PGPE, Paloma Pedrez, Paloma G. Pedrez Enterprise in Great Blessings Christian Organization. Great Blessings Christian Organization. It is an organization which deals with facility management, architectural, buildings and design, constructions, maintenance, and so much more. On my first week of IT, there was an ongoing project that was going on in the GBCA site in Great Blessing Organization. It was the construction of a 4-story educational complex in GBCA. It was my first time during my IT to see an ongoing project and an upper floor being casted. It was my first time. When I went up, it was overwhelming because there was so much more that I've been doing in school which you do not understand, which you haven't seen. But I was privileged to see a casted floor before casting, how it looks like, the naked rods, the naked reinforcement bars, how they were arranged. I was able to see the formwork before the floor casted. I was privileged to be on the side that at Bukuru Express, the private site, which was the building of a 3-bedroom bungalow in Bukuru Express. It was a project that was on a tight budget. Yes, I was privileged to see a 3-bedroom flat from the foundation level to the overhead course level. I saw during my IT experience, I was able to see how a foundation of a building is made. The processes were explained to me by my IT supervisor, and then I asked questions. I will gain more insight on how the foundation was made and the steps in which they were made. I was also privileged to see the building rising, the masonry work of rising the 3-bedroom bungalow to the upper overhead level. During my IT also, I was also privileged to experience and see a rake sitting at the sporting arena of the GBCA site. I saw how they use CMUs to be able to raise rake sittings for the students of the organization of the school to be able to sit and enjoy their sporting moment. I was also privileged to see landscaping activities going on in organization. During my IT, I saw the laying of hard landscape, that is curbs and interlocks, pavers, how they were made, how they were laid. And then it was a wonderful experience. During my IT, I was also privileged to see maintenance those works carried out, the maintenance to be able to avoid water damage on the buildings in use and maintenance around the site. I was also personally engaged in taking inventories of materials and also in other works that were done during so that I can learn. For example, I was engaged in helping out, taking records, and also keeping documentary of the ongoing works and projects that were done in the organization. I was also privileged to be enrolled by the director of the organization into the visualization class, which helped me to gain more insight on the use of Revit and also Lumion to be able to do my architectural design well. During my IT, I learned a lot. I learned how
Time is
to...
up.
Thank you.
Before the director will ask a question, I usually like talking after you have spoken. You were given an assignment to design a tree bedroom, all of you, on one plot of land that is 30 by 15 meters. That's 450 square meters. Some things were told you about building codes and regulations, about densities, about setbacks, about area of plot coverage, that is building plot ratio. Tell us more about that and how far you've been able to go with that.
When I was given the design of a three-bedroom flat or a bungalow to be able to design using the density of different environments, it was a very tricky and then a very good assignment which I found very difficult. But with the help and explanation, then me going to dig in more about the assignment, I was able to find out and know that the density of different environments are different. They vary for both setbacks and also other for the building types and then how they are constructed. For low density areas, the setbacks from the front of the building from property line to the building is about 6 meters, and then for medium density areas the minimum setback from the building from the front to the building line is about 6 meters also. Then for medium, yes, about 6 meters, and then for high density areas the minimum setback from the front to the property line of the building is about 4 meters, and then in medium density areas they are allowed to have shops. You can build and then you are allowed to have shops in front or shops within the building. And then I also learned about the setbacks, that is not just in front and also the back for minimum density areas about 3 or 4 meters away from the back, and then for medium density areas you have about 2.5 to about 3 meters setback from the back, and then for the sides too. And then for high density area which people are always populated, the minimum requirement for the setback is 5 meters away from the building line, and then the property from the sides of the building line, that is the property line, and then to the building.
I have a question. Are the designs completed so that we can actually see you see, it's one thing to learn, but it's another thing to show it in the practical demonstration of it. So, like you've learned now, can you produce a drawing with the correct setbacks?
Yes, ma'am. We were given an assignment which we've done on that.
And it's in your IT book.
Yes, ma'am.
I just saw the first part, which was the site plan, and which we discussed most of these things. But after that, I haven't seen any for now. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. So, your presentation, did you rehearse it before you came to talk? You know, I did not really ask the others. Did you rehearse yours before you came? Did you rehearse yours? It's obvious. You have to rehearse anything you're doing. You came and met us doing a seminar. Lucius, how many meetings did we have in order for us to do this thing?
We had one. Okay, we had two meetings, but one was the practical. We wanted to practicalize what we needed to do.
Never, as an architect, you can never go out without first rehearsing what you're going to do. Never. Never. In my head, I'm thinking, what am I going to ask? I'm thinking, what am I going to do before I say it? It is not professional to just talk without thinking through. Yours is even more obvious than the rest because you kept saying, I also. No. Take small notes and jot down. Practice your presentations with yourselves. You rehearse. Your cousin, Pedro, how many times? I think he must have done about 10. By the time he did his IT presentation, he himself told me, Mommy, I'm not going to get an A. And he got an A. What they like about him is that he knows how to assess himself. I'm talking about Pedro now. I can't tell you how many, but the very first time he did rehearsals, he didn't want to. He was just like you. I'm telling you this so that you don't think I'm saying my own is good and you are bad. No. It's a presumption.
I told them
You have to rehearse it.
5.
You have to rehearse it. Because how many have you done now?
This is the second one.
It would have been nice for you to have more, but I cannot promise you that. But at least we can break it down to you from there so that you know what you needed to do. Okay? Alright. Now, questions. What is your understanding of the structure of this organization? What if they were to ask you what is the philosophy behind the way we build here? What would you say is the philosophy?
Okay. My understanding of this organization, that is Paloma G, Pedrez, and then Great Christian organization. My philosophy with the way we build here is sustainability, and we have sustainability is key, and then putting in consideration and then decision making is also important in the organization, and then the rules followed and procedures. Important we consider both economical to do and procedures. Important we consider both economical factors. It is important to follow the rules and then the conduct so that you not found wanting and be able to different things with building the buildings of the organization. Quality matters. We do not compromise qualities matters. We do not compromise qualities in the buildings of any work done, and then any building, and then accountability also in building any building, and then accountability also in building is very important. you should be able to give account when you are asked on any subject matter or any project that is done. And then also, okay, I said accountability, economical factors are important, and then also um, it is key to our buildings that we do not compromise quality, because if you compromise quality, you are then trying to be found wanting, and then in some subject matters. I think that is my um, philosophy about the way we build. We build with quality. We want to have quality buildings, and we do our works with accountability. We also do our works in such a way that will not be found wanting. I think that is very important too.
Okay. Let me ask you a technical question now. When we were doing the steel work, what are two things that you noticed, first from the standpoint of structural stability of the building, and then from the standpoint of the technique in in fabrication, I mean rather installation of the reinforcement bars? What did you notice?
Okay, stability. Notice that um, measurements, that is for the reinforcement bars and then stirrups for stability, were followed due to the schedule of the building. That is, for example, for the Providence Hall in which we casted, the measurements for stirrups and then reinforcement bars take, were taken very seriously, and then it was done with the right materials. When I say the right materials, that is the right reinforcement bars that are meant to be used for the right or the proper placement, for whether for beams, whether for the slab, whether for the staircase. The right reinforcement bars and measurements were taken very seriously. And also for the casting, that is for the floor, the materials used, that is batching, was also taken very seriously, so that we won't have we'll have a homogeneous concrete mixture, and then it will be a very good mix. Materials were batched in the mix ratio that is 1 to ratio 3 to ratio 3, so that we'll have a very strong and then a very doable and a very good work done, that is casting of the slab.
Please bear in mind I'm only talking about the reinforcement now. I'm not talking about
Okay,
so
for the
can you
reinforcement.
back on?
Okay, the measurements in the reinforcement bars, that's both for the stirrups and then for the markings of the staircase. The measurements was taken very seriously.
When you say the measurements, are you referring to the spacing?
Yes, ma'am.
The spacing interval of the
Yes.
stirrups?
The stirrups,
Okay.
and then other.
What did you observe the iron bending at work?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Also,
what are, do you know the names of the equipment that were used?
yes, ma'am. Okay, the iron bender used a cutting tool, that is a hacksaw, to cut the reinforcement bars into different lengths required for different placement, that is for the beams and also for the slab. We also use binding wire to be able to bind stirrups and then the reinforcement bars together. The iron bender also used what we call a plier to be able to bind, that to help the iron bender to be able to bind the reinforcement bars and then we still
So do you think some of the learners will be interested in doing TD?
Well, from what I'm seeing today, they will be.
That's good.
But I don't
Can't be.
You're cajoling them or something. Yes. Some of them already wowed by the career day presentation.
Okay. In terms of stability of the structure, that is the use of reinforcement bars, I observe the strict adherence to measurements that were required for the different reinforcement, that is the distribution bars and then the beams that were cast in the project, that is the educational complex. I observe a spacing of 200 minimum spacing between the reinforcement bars and also the stirrups. Then the material used were 8 mm reinforcement bars for stirrups, 12 mm reinforcement bars for the distribution bars, and 16 mm were used reinforcement bars were used for the beams. The iron bender used the binding wire to be able to bind the stirrups to the reinforcement bars, and then he also used a plier or a pincer to be able to carry out that function of binding bending wire to the to be able to bend the bending wire and then bind the stirrups to the reinforcement bars. We also use a cutting tool, that is a hacksaw, to be able to cut the metals into the desirable length required for the reinforcement. And then the iron bender also used a hollow metal pipe.
You had enough time to Google the thing and find out what it was. All the time we were waiting, no problem.
To be able to bend and then also straighten the metals while bending them, so that they will not be metals that were bending or they were not straight. So we used a metal that was hollowed to be able to bend the reinforcement bars to the desirable bending. And then for the stirrups, I noticed a measurement that was done in the stirrups, that is, we bend the stirrups for the beams. It was 450 by 200 mm bending schedule that was done for that. And then for the distribution bars, there was a minimum of 200 mm intervals that the distribution bars were made. I also noticed, I also observed the top matting that was done in the stiffener, and then the number of reinforcement bars used for the beams were 6 reinforcement, 6 mm and 16 mm reinforcement bars, and then for the top matting, it was 12 mm reinforcement bars that were used.
Okay. It's like you're getting your groove now. Next time, when you're asking a question, you pay attention to that. Please, Mr. Gara, can you handle those children?
Please look at this. Look.
Thank you. Mr. Hassan, do you have any more questions for him? Well, you have demonstrated knowledge, but I wish you would have started by listening, because you just assumed I was talking about casting. But I wasn't. I was interested in the reinforcement process. Yes. Thank you very much. We'll take the last but not the least.
Good afternoon. I am Darren Abba. I'm here to talk about my
a report. I'm going to give a report about my IT experience. My IT experience. Well, initially I started my internship at State Universal Basic Education Board. That's Sudan, located at Dogondusi. While there, I realized that they didn't have any ongoing projects. So when I inquired, I was told that they weren't the ones handling their projects. They were giving them to external contractors, and they weren't even supervising. So I had to transfer, and then I transferred to Paloma Pedrez Enterprise (PGP), which is a subsidiary of Great Blessings Christian Organization (GBC),
Just
located
make a
at
correction. It is not great blessings. This is greatest blessings. So I noticed you're all saying great blessings. So just correct that before I forget to correct you.
okay,
It's not great blessings. Yes.
the Greatest Blessings Christian Organization, located at Rayfield, opposite Golf Club. Now, the Greatest Blessing
Not opposite, near
adjacent.
or near the golf club.
Adjacent. Now, the Paloma G. Pedrez is a firm that carries out project management, project design and construction, etc. While at PGP, I experienced construction, landscaping, design, and also visualization. Now, for construction, I was fortunate to meet the construction of an academic complex within the School of Greatest Blessings Christian Organization. I met the construction at the second floor, and I was fortunate to participate in the construction process. I myself and other IT students participated through the vibrating of beams while construction was carried out, and I also got to learn various things about construction. During my first day at the Greatest Blessings Christian Organization, a supervising architect was present, and he gave us a lecture about bending schedule and shear force. I also got to see how to see how reinforcement bars were made, and I saw how all of them looked in real life. In real life, all of my time in school, we only just saw them in books and online, but this time I got to experience it in real life. Another aspect of construction I experienced was the building of a two-bedroom flat located at Bukuru Expressway. I got to experience the design experience the construction right from the design down to up to the building of to the ring room, the overhead force. During my stay, I experienced the setting out. I was there. Myself and IT students and Mr. Hassan. Mr. Hassan carried out the setting out, and he also lectured us on how to carry out setting out. I got to see the different tools used for setting out, and since our client didn't have enough money to use all of the proper materials. We couldn't use profile boards for the setting out, but we made do with what was available, which was pegs, builder's line, and builder's square method. So with these tools, we carried out setting out the builder's square method, and Mr. Hassan was there to lecture us on the process. Another thing I experienced was the rig sitting of the sports complex at the Greatest Blessings Christian Organization. I was there to see the setting out also of this rig sitting and the process. And one thing I learned there was the importance of the use of a speed level and a builder's line, because the artisan there always assumed that he had the level correct, but you can see that that's not enough. You should always focus on, you should always use a builder's line and a speed level to get a very straight walk. I also got to experience landscaping. Interlocking tiles were purchased and brought to the Greatest Blessing Christian Organization, and I experienced the whole process of the landscaping, from the estimation, which I learned was 34 interlocks per square meter. I carried out the estimation with my colleague, and I down to the working process when the artisan was there. I saw how he carried out the work. Sand was poured on the ground and then leveled before the interlocks were placed. And he used a mallet. He used a mallet to hit the interlocking tiles in place. He used a mallet, not a hammer, because a mallet is more suitable for that because of the cushioning effect. So when you strike the interlocking tiles with the mallet, it doesn't crack or break the interlocks. Also, during my stay at the Paloma Pedrez, I also got to experience. I was taught visualization, visualizations in various softwares like Revit and Lumion, and we were given lectures on how to make designs right from basic components from molds down to finishes, and we were given videos and various tools to aid us in those design process.
Your time is up. Okay, any question? Mr. Lucius, you can ask him questions too. Because you're still part of us concerning, because most times you are here and you always follow us up to do one or two things. But mostly concerning what he has said, we'll judge you based on what you have experienced. So colleagues, classmates, you can ask him questions. Okay, before the lecture comes, Mr. Gara is not on the seat. Anyone with questions? Okay, so Mr. Darrell. It's about massing in Revit. You said you were taken through architectural visualization through Revit and Lumion. So you tell us about this coming from me, and after that, the director will come in.
Well, as I earlier stated, clients didn't have so much money. That's why we use the builder's square method, and we didn't use all of the complete tools that we normally use for setting out because of that. So we just made use of builder's line pegs and a builder's square to carry out that. So process of carrying out a builder's square, you just put in your pegs at the various points, use your tape, so your measuring tape to mark out points, and then use your pegs to hold those points, and then line, and then use your builder's square to get a perfect angle. You place it. The builder's square is actually at right angle, so you place it at one of the right angles to make sure that it is not tilting towards an acute angle, that it stays at 90 degrees exactly. And then for massing in Revit, well, what I understand in massing is, about massing in Revit is when you join elements together.
Okay, so what are other methods of setting out that you tell us that we're supposed to be considered instead of the builder's square? You've told us why the builder's square was used. So what are other methods of setting out that would have been used to make it more faster and more accurate, all things being equal in a normal situation? Okay. Director.
Okay, so there's the 3, 4, 5 method.
Yes, there is a 3-4-5 method. Okay.
Okay, so that's the one you remember. Okay. Now you are. Can you advise me? You are going back to school now. Advise me, what can one do? We told you that we've been receiving IT students now for about 20 years. What would you say to me for the next, well, I don't intend to be the one supervising them for the next 20 years, but if Jesus tarries and they're still in existence, at least, if it's not the next 20 years, the next 1 year, what advice would you give to us as an organization to help IT students? What would you do? What should we do differently?
Do you think the organization is perfect? Everything we did, we have everything,
What
we
can
got
we do
everything
that?
correctly. How can we improve?
I'm still thinking. Because
Don't be afraid. It's we want to know.
so for me, the system works. It's strict and it works. I'm still thinking of.
Okay, let's put it this way. If you have your own IT firm, what would you do? In addition to the strict things that we are doing here, what would you do that will give your own distinctive mark? Now, we are not talking about us. I want to have an idea of what you think. We are not asking you to criticize us. Maybe that will help you feel freer. Well, think about that. The facilities are telling us that we should round up and go, and I have to address staff before then. But let me say that.
Sorry, Ma, before you round up, I just have a few observations generally that cuts across.
Can you? Are you through with him then?
I'm done.
Okay, so thank you very much. You can have your seat. Can you come and just maybe have a seat and address us so that we can have it on record?
Okay.
Yes, we noticed that, but the emergency lights are on, so.
Oh, okay, well done. I think there's an improvement generally from the previous presentation we've heard. So of course, we need to work on our confidence. Okay, yes, we need to work on our confidence, especially through to David. You were articulative, yeah, the temperament is part of it, but I told you some things which I need you to work on more next time. You really improved today. So, David Adisa, you were scored 7 for appearance over 10. For your confidence, 13. You dropped from the last time because you were not stable.
Yeah,
your limbs kept moving,
kept
kept swinging your hands and
the
your legs and your
difference was my
feet.
presence.
Okay. So for knowledge of the subject matter, you had 35. Articulation, you had 13. Totaling 68.0 over 70. That's my grading. Now for Yilpoju, you'll see you had 7 for appearance. Was an improvement over the last time. 14 for confidence. You had 37 for you had 13 for articulation. That gave us 71. For truth David, you had 6.5 over 10 for appearance. You had 12 for confidence. You know, knowledge of the subject matter, you improved over time. Articulation, you had 14 over 20, totaling 68.5. Then Davila, you had 7 for your appearance, 15 for confidence, 37/50 for knowledge of the subject matter. Articulation, you had 15, and overall improvement over everyone, 24. Everything is supposed to be over 100. Now, you people didn't talk about problem solutions. It's very important. Director asked you something. Part of the happy presenter was, what do you think can be informed? You are supposed to be part of a problem-solving mechanism. Regardless that you are students, you still have a contribution to make. That's why I keep asking. There were so many things people participated in doing which that is very important. Okay, methods of construction. You need to talk about the method of construction. One of the technical questions that I don't ask. Now, for example, the upper floors here were built in phases. Why was it like that? You never told us. We discussed that. We also talked about how Pedrez was mentioned. Most of you participated in one or two things. Only one person mentioned that, and that was Darren. Estimation experience. I always include you team up to estimate, to cost, to generate, okay, the cost for a particular material, the work section, the overhead. You never mentioned it. All right. Then you didn't tell us how quality was assured. From the beginning, you came, the first day you were on site with the supervising architect Audu, something was done on site to assure that quality was maintained. Something happened. I won't tell you what that was, but include that in your next presentation. All right, then most of you kept saying 3-bedroom flat. The term is bungalow, not a flat. When we have flats, we have the either flats or walk-up apartment. There's 2 units. Please get that corrected. And then I think that is all for now. But generally speaking, there's an improvement over the last presentation, except that director's presence made also a difference. Some
I noticed that.
people jittered more today, while some were more confident. So that needs to be worked upon. On that day, you might have 2 or 3 in the departments facing you. Please work.
Professor Alu can be there. Professor Sati can be there.
So,
yes,
listen.
just for you to know.
Yes. Okay. So that's all from my end here.
Yes, I wish that somehow we can arrange a special seminar for them once again. They will have access to this, and that was why I wanted to record it, so that you can watch it and you can see yourselves. Give them the link and go and watch and see yourselves and see how you improve. Practice your presentations again. There are 3 things we are expecting from you. The first thing that we are expecting for you is that you complete your logbooks very well. You heard the comments of other people. You saw an MP Makias. Many students have worked here. You are one, and your own case should not be any different. Okay? Work on your books first of all. Once you are through with your books, then you have to do your report, and then you have to do your presentation again. And then we'll call it quits with you. We are not trying to squeeze you for extra work. No. Even the children that you would have taught, they are already on holidays. But we do not want to, we also have our integrity to protect.
Yes.
Yes, because everybody knows our standard here. We don't want a situation where, and we invested a lot in you, so you have an opportunity now to show your improvement today has demonstrated that you are teachable. And once somebody is teachable, there's always hope. The most brilliant man that is not teachable is worse than the dullest man that is teachable. I'm telling you, any day I can predict the outcome. And by the grace of God, I've been a lecturer in Unijos for almost 25 years. Yes, almost 25 years, 23 years now, and next year 24. But I've been a lecturer of students for over 30-something years now. Been lecturing since 1991. Yeah? Yes, 1991 was when I started lecturing. So I can tell you that from experience, if you continue the way you are now, you can catapult yourself out of the category I said you are in before, and you can do you have potential for A's now. Yes, they may be low A's because you've already been graded on part of it, but you have the potential to score A's. But more important than that, the knowledge, you are able to internalize, reflect on the knowledge, and bring out something good. It's a good way to end the month of July. So I want to commend you and especially appreciate your supervisor and your mentor here on site. You already know his history in the department. Yeah, at least in the history of the department, you always hear about Tony, but you also hear about him because this is our first class graduate. So that's wishing you all the best in the midst of everything that I'm doing. I'm sure you know that I have other things I need to do, but because of the high premium that we place on your future, not just in the department but for your lives, we have had to set aside everything we are doing to ensure that we give you quality time. And once you get the link, Lucius, you can share the link with me so that I will get the link to them and they can watch. Thank you very much, Mr. Lucius. Thank you very much, Mr. Bachi in absentia. Thank you very much, Mr. Agara, and especially thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. I believe that these students, they have had a bumpy start, but like I said, the future is very bright. So I congratulate you in the beginning of your realization of your journey moving forward. God bless you and have a good time finishing your logbooks. God bless.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
So grateful for this opportunity. Remember in your acknowledgements, all these things need to be acknowledged in your report. Okay? All who contributed one way or the other in the success of your stay here, your studies here, please acknowledge them. It's only right to do that before God. Even though we might not all read that, but in God's heart, that has a place. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Agara,
Yes, ma'am.
have they moved their things?
I told them earlier.
Uh-huh.
So I think